Cleveland. Like, of all the games you're going to drop, Cleveland. I get it. AFC North rivalry. I understand. But Cleveland. Now, listen, credit where it's due. Jameis Winston was really good in a game where the Browns won 24-19 over my Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, he did throw a late fourth quarter reception, but QBR 0 to 100 of 80. That says something. He ran for a touchdown on a big fourth down and goal. He completed a big-time third down 7 after there should have been a intentional grounding before that. But listen, as I always say, if you need the calls from the refs to go your way, if that's the difference between you winning and losing, you didn't execute well enough to win the football game. So I will certainly maintain true to that today, even when it involves my own team. There are positives the Steelers can take out of this. The fact that they were down 12 in the fourth quarter in a snowstorm and took the lead at one point. Like, matter of fact, not long after. You got the drive where Justin Fields, it feels like he and Russ are splitting snaps. Justin Fields giving you some with his legs. Russell's giving you stuff with his arm. Jalen Warren's doing his thing. He got a one-score game. Here comes my man, Nick Herbig, strip sacking Jameis Winston. All of a sudden, Russ throws a dime on third down to Calvin Austin, my man. I love me some Calvin Austin. Steelers take the lead 19-18. Then Jameis goes the other end, throws a pick to my man Dante Jackson. I'm thinking, we got this thing. We're in a game that Cleveland's outplayed us for the majority of it. We can't generate, generate scoring drives. We haven't scored a touchdown in 7 quarters. Now all of a sudden we score 2 in 6 minutes. And then Cleveland goes down the field and winds up winning the game. First of all, there's a disturbing stat that I heard. First guy I heard bring this up was my man Colin Cowherd yesterday on his show. And I was actually on campus at my college. I was listening to Colin's show, walking to class or something. And when I heard him say it, I'm like, oh, that's not good. He said that Mike Tomlin is, I believe, like 2-8 in his career in Thursday Night Football, 0-7 on the road against divisional opponents on Thursday Night Football. That is not a good sign. And of course, now he is, I guess, 0-7 now or 0-8 now, one way or the other. The point of it all is that Pittsburgh this is how the games are going to look. It's very cheap. It's basically the Chiefs without Mahomes and Andy Reid. That's basically what it is. Is your defense going to keep you in the game? Russell, don't make mistakes. We're going to run the football relatively effectively, although I didn't love how the Steelers ran the ball last night on a consistent standpoint. I thought Justin Fields was actually the Steelers' best rusher last night. By the way, his yards per carry would indicate that in a major way, double that of second place Jalen Warren. Run the ball well, protect Russell Wilson, which they weren't able to do. Myles Garrett had the first half. He had 3 sacks, including a strip sack not a strip sack, but I think it was 3 sacks, 4 pressures, something crazy. Myles Garrett was unbelievable last night. And then you execute in the fourth quarter. And in the fourth quarter, Russell Wilson caught fire. As a matter of fact, I think what you saw from Russell Wilson last night, because it was a bit of an uneven night. He had the turnover in the first half that Cleveland ended up getting points off of. To me, the big thing for Russell Wilson that the Steelers need to take into account moving forward. Okay, they're 8-3. The season's not over. The season's in great shape. Okay, you still, even if the Ravens win on Monday Night Football, you still got a half game up over Baltimore. You got another game against Cleveland. You play the Ravens. You got winnable games moving forward. Potentially Cincinnati at the end of the season without Joe Burrow if they're out of playoff contention. Point of all that is this. Russell Wilson on money downs was great. Like, could not have been better last night. We could show you the numbers. Alfred put together this graphic. Russell Wilson just on 3rd and 4th down last night, 203 passing yards, a touchdown, 0 interceptions, completed 92% of his throws, 12 for 13, and had a passer rating of 144. So, and by the way, you see those 203 passing yards for Russell Wilson, right? And 3rd down and 4th down, do the math, 67 passing yards otherwise. There was a level of, and this has been the case for a while, the last few weeks, and Arthur Smith, I think he's done a really good job of this offense, but there is a level of predictability. We're going to hand it to Najee Harris on 1st down. We're going to hand it to Najee Harris on 2nd down. Now we got 3rd down and 5 best case scenario. If the runs don't amount to a ton, Jalen Warren's going to be in the backfield as a pass catching back, and Russell Wilson is going to be efficient. He's going to hit a Pat Freiermuth. He's going to hit a George Pickens, George, stop getting into fights in the middle of Hail Marys. Please. What is going on with you, my man? I know this has been a trend for George Pickens, but gee whiz. Cut it out, dude. But Jalen Warren's going to be available to make catches out of the backfield, and the Steelers defense is going to do their thing. So, listen, it's games like this, given what the Steelers' upcoming stretch is. You got Philadelphia, you got Baltimore, you got Kansas City. Next week, you got Cincinnati, a desperate Bengals team, quarterbacked by Joe Burrow, and catch him. He's throwing passes to Jamar Chase. So the schedule moving forward for the Steelers, we knew this coming into the season, no joke. But the way they play, they can beat anybody. And the way they can play, they can lose to anybody. Basically, all the games are going to be close. It's going to be defensive battles. Russell's going to have to be efficient on 3rd and 4th down, which he was last night and has been over the course of his 5 games as the Steelers starter. It's just got to be a level of consistency, and not just consistency, just good execution. I thought the Steelers' 4th down play calling in the first half was utterly atrocious. It's 4th down and 1-4. If it's 4th down and 2, we're going to go Justin Fields keeper. Let's put Justin Fields, who the defense knows, the Browns defense knows, Jim Schwartz knows, yeah, he's getting the ball in a 4th down short situation, and that's how it's going to be. Or if it's 4th down and 1, Najee Harris is in there, Russell's under center, they're probably going to run the ball to Najee Harris right up the gut. So just a level of unpredictability from the offense would be appreciated from Arthur Smith, who, again, I think has done a good job. I didn't think Mike Tomlin had his best game as it pertains to managing the clock when it came to not using the timeout toward the end of the first half, when it came to using a timeout in the middle of the 4th quarter when you could have used that on your final drive. It was a matter of situations. Had the Steelers come out of this game with a W, it would have been, oh my God, this is maybe a sign of things to come. Maybe we're 9-2. Here we go. If you're not executing at the best of your ability, even if you are playing a bad Cleveland Browns team, stuff like this is going to happen. And so, listen, it's not the end of the world for the Steelers. Got a game against Cincinnati next week at Cincinnati. But listen, if as much of a role as Joe Burrow's been on, Steelers defense on 10 days rest, TJ Watt against that offensive line in Cincinnati, like that really favors the Steelers. So I do feel confident about that game next week. And again, listen, Jameis Winston is, it's funny. I look at Jameis as like a lesser version of a former Cleveland Browns quarterback who I was never a crazy fan of, am now, but wasn't a crazy fan of in large part due to maturity issues, but looks like they should have kept Baker Mayfield. I always say about Baker Mayfield, like regardless of the circumstances around him, like Baker's just a gamer. Baker's going to keep you in the game. He's going to do some wild stuff that doesn't make sense. He's going to stiff arm Nick Bosa and throw a pass for a 1st down, and then he's going to throw a god-awful interception. That's Jameis. Jameis is kind of wild. He'll throw you a brutal 4th quarter pick right into the arms of Dante Jackson that I thought was game at that point. And then he'll run for a touchdown and 4th down when it looks like the pockets collapse, or he'll make a big time throw on 3rd down to get them into scoring position late in the 4th quarter. That's just kind of what Jameis does. So you give Jameis Winston some credit. You give Kevin Stefanski, who I think the idea I'm hearing Kevin Stefanski in the hot seat, the Browns have made a lot of bad decisions in their history. It's why they're the Browns. That'd be one of the worst decisions they'll have ever made. Stefanski's a great coach. So props to Cleveland for getting the job done. But for Pittsburgh, just recalibrate, refocus, tighten up your offense, add a level of unpredictability to it. Allow Russell Wilson. I know there was let Russ cook back in the day. I'm not saying do that. I'm not saying let Russ be the focal point and drive your offense, but give him a little bit bigger of a role than what you've been giving him. Now, can he handle it? I don't know. I mean, on the money downs, he's been great. Maybe that's the definition of what a game-managing quarterback should be, is great on 3rd and 4th down, and kind of play within the offense, hand the ball off on 1st and 2nd down. I just like to see that opened up a little bit, but that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen if George Pickens is as mentally disengaged as he can be from time to time. And this is, listen, it's funny. I have me and my radio teammate, Addison Ragland, shout out to her and shout out to Asher Moore, Triple Option every Monday and Friday. Mondays at 10 a.m. Eastern to noon and Fridays from noon to 1. We've gone back and forth on this, on the George Pickens thing. She can't stand George Pickens. I'm like, I love him when he has the ball in his hands. When he has the ball in his hands, I've said over and over in the show, ladies and gentlemen, George Pickens is special. He can hurdle 2 guys like he did against the Jaguars last year. He can beat you over the top. He's great after the catch. And the whole thing, he's special. The Steelers' offense is objectively better when that man has the football in his hands. But when he doesn't have it in his hands, that's going to be every play, obviously. Listen, he was grabbed last night. I get it. There were some plays that could have been called PI. I didn't think it was the greatest officiated game last night, but guess what? If you need the officials to win, he didn't play well enough to win. Hail Mary. And again, chances of that working, unless you're the Washington Commanders, probably not going to work. But the Hail Mary, Russell Wilson throws at the end of that football game, and Russell got rocked on that play in the pocket. Okay, multiple Steelers down there. Ironically, no one near the football. Part of the reason that one of the guys ain't near the football, George Pickens, he's fighting a DB for Cleveland in the back corner of the end zone as the ball's in the air. Like, it's almost like the reverse Tyreek Stevenson. Remember the Bears, Tyreek Stevenson waving to the crowd while the ball's in the air and he ends up making the game-ending mistake? That's what I felt like watching that play. It's like, bruh, it's probably not going to work. That's why it's called a Hail Mary. At the same time, I mean, dude, like, you're getting into fights every single game. There's a level of, and people might ask me, because folks know I'm a Warriors fan, why don't you get mad at Draymond Green? Well, A, he's won 4 championships. B, he's the centerpiece of a dynasty. And C, the Warriors are objectively a worse basketball team when Draymond Green's off the floor. Whereas the Steelers have won games when George Pickens haven't gotten the ball. They're better when he does get the ball, but they've won games. So there's got to be, I don't know if it's a conversation he's going to have with Mike Tomlin, with Arthur Smith. I don't know what it is. But, man, this guy can be full-blown unhinged during games. Unhinged. And you saw it at the end of that game against Cleveland. Like, bruh, tight. Even with the even at the game against Dallas, Steelers lose the close game against the Cowboys, and he's on the ground. He yanks Jordan Lewis to the ground. It's like, bro, come on, man. Come on. You're special with the ball in your hands. I'm going to defend you to the death on that. But, geez, at least make it a little bit easier to defend you in the other stuff. My gosh. But either way, really tough loss for my Steelers, but the sky is still blue. Wasn't blue last night. It was mostly white because of the snow. But I like their matchup against Cincinnati coming up soon. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.